My name's Cliff Ohmart, and I am Vice President of SureHarvest Professional Services. SureHarvest is a private company that provides service and technology solutions to growers, grower groups, trade associations, and companies in the ag food supply chain. We are working with groups in the almond industry and the wine industry, as well as other industries, helping them develop sustainability programs, which, of course, one of the foundations is integrated pest management. I have a bachelor's degree in forestry from the State University of New York College of Environmental Sciences and Forestry, and then I have a PhD in Forest Entomology and IPM from the University of California, Berkeley. From 1990 to about 1996, I worked with growers in orchard crops on integrating pest management and encouraging growers to use integrated pest management practices in managing their important orchard pests. In my view of all the experience I've had, I think integrated pest management is the way to manage pests in agriculture. I am not a practicing pest control advisor. I haven't been for quite a while, but in the jobs that I've had over the last 20 years, I've learned a considerable amount in terms of not only what is integrated pest management, but talking to growers about it, as well as encouraging growers to implement integrated pest management. When I was at Berkeley, I had the fortune of interacting with Robert Van den Bosch, who's one of the original developers of the concept of integrated pest management. I'd spent a lot of time socializing with Van den Bosch, and unbeknownst to me at the time, things were rubbing off that I didn't quite realize. So I went off to Australia, working as a research scientist for 13 years. But then I actually came back and went onto the farm and actually started working with growers in agriculture. And that's when I really had the epiphany. Van den Bosch had always been talking about how it's so challenging to implement IPM, working with growers, how the pest management system, at least in the Western world, particularly in the US, was broken, and this in relation to the influence of the chemical industry. And when I went on the farm and started working with growers, started interacting with other pest control advisors, I was just astounded at all the things Van den Bosch had talked to me about that I really thought I wasn't paying attention to. In fact, I had. And so the big issue that really struck me very clearly, and this goes to the heart of IPM and why it's so difficult to implement, is how the pest management system in this country works and what is one of the drivers. And of course, this has to do with input supply companies, pesticide companies, and the fact that the average grower gets their advice still in 2013 from someone who makes a commission off the sale of pesticides and fertilizers. So it's known to those of us in the industry as the conflict of interest. It's actually very similar to the medical field, where doctors are recommending drugs that they actually get for free from drug companies, and drug companies make money off the sale. So I've seen this as a very big challenge throughout my entire career once I came back to agriculture in terms of encouraging growers, because basically another way to put this is, unfortunately, agriculture has substituted inputs like pesticides and fertilizers for knowledge. IPM is very much a knowledge-driven approach to managing pests, and when you've got this conflict of interest, when you've got inputs being substituted, much more low risk than implementing knowledge, it's a real challenge. So to continue this thread, because of my work as a pest control advisor, I'm extremely aware of the risks that growers take when it comes to farming. I'm very aware of the risks that pest control advisors take in terms of practicing their discipline. And so it's not like I'm ignorant of the risks that people are taking. And of course, with integrated pest management, it's very much this idea of, well, how much risk am I willing to take? And so one of the discussions that people always have is, okay, so if we could wave a magic wand and make it so that pest control advisors are not able to make a commission on what they sell in terms of inputs, would things be better? And to be honest, I don't necessarily think that would be the case, because I was very aware as a pest control advisor, and our company was what's called an independent pest control advisor company, meaning we sold knowledge, we didn't sell materials. So growers would pay us a per acre fee to monitor their fields and then give them recommendations. And I was very aware as a pest control advisor, it has to do with well, am I going to be comfortable going home after I make this recommendation? Can I sleep at night knowing that if I make a mistake, I could lose a grower a lot of money? If I make a mistake, I could lose a client, which also translates to a lot of money. So there really is a great tendency to want to take the path of least risk, which means recommending inputs. So I am very aware of that. And this is where my experience with working with growers and developing their trust, which is what it's all about in terms of being a pest control advisor, developing a trust with your clients, and the fact that if you do make mistakes, but if you have this level of trust, that you're able to both accomplish things together. So it is very possible to work with growers over time, implementing IPM and being successful at it. I'll relay one specific story that's true that really indicates the challenges in implementing IPM. As a pest control advisor in California, I had a almond grower who I'd worked for 5 years. He had about 500 acres of almonds, and we had, this is in the early to mid 90s, we'd completely eliminated the use of dormant sprays through monitoring, mummy removal, and we had a very successful program, very low rejects, less than 0.5%. And when I left the scientific methods job to take the job with the Lodi Winegrape Commission, one of this fellow's friends said to me when I ran into him later, you know, it's probably good you left because this grower was thinking that he was possibly going to not work with scientific methods anymore because he felt like you weren't doing anything for him. And of course, the frustrating thing was we had eliminated dormant sprays through careful monitoring, but because he wasn't doing things year after year, he felt like we really weren't helping him out. So again, it just indicates the real challenges we have. So we're as human beings, we're so used to doing something that it's very difficult not to, and a lot of IPM is sit back and watch. Now, what I find very interesting is now that I've been working sort of in a grander view of things, and this is ag sustainability. This is about, as a grower, how can I work with what I'm working with, whether it's an orchard crop or row crop or other things, and develop programs where I am growing in a sustainable way. It's a complicated topic, hard to describe in a very, very short time, but it's farming in a way that's economically viable, environmentally sound, and socially equitable. And what I find very interesting about working with growers and sustainability programs is it's very similar to implementing IPM. IPM is a landscape approach to managing pests. It's a systems approach to managing pests. It's understanding the system to make good decisions. And ag sustainability is not only pest management, but it's management of other resources, water, energy, human resources, but it's the same approach. It's approaching a landscape management of farming, and at SureHarvest we use the term measure to manage. If you can't measure something, then you can't really manage it. And it's all about using data, collecting data, whether it's insect monitoring, whether it's pest damage, whether it is weather, and putting that together in an integrated system where you can make very sound data-driven decisions. And so I think I'll end with the theme that I started with, and that is, for better or for worse, it's reality. Agriculture historically has substituted knowledge for inputs. Integrated pest management, in my view, is the way to manage pests. It's the landscape approach to managing whatever you are growing, whether it's row crops, orchard crops, flower crops. And in terms of the context of sustainability, it's about collecting good data and looking at that data and analyzing it and measuring to manage.